The sky above the dead planet was red and broken. Dust moved like smoke across the ground. Old metal bones of crashed ships covered the land. Nothing lived here anymore. Nothing should have lived here, but something small was running. A tiny alien. Child moved between shadows, its short legs weak and shaking. Its skin was pale and thin. One arm was bleeding. Each breath burned in its chest. It had been running for hours, maybe days. It did not know anymore. Behind it, loud voices echoed. Hunters were close. They were tall aliens in dark armor. Their ships floated above the land like black birds. For them, this was not war. It was sport. They laughed while they searched. They talked about rewards. They talked about how long the small one would last. The tiny alien slipped and fell near. A broken ship. The metal was old and burned. A symbol was still visible on the side. Human. The child froze. Its heart raced faster. Humans were known across the galaxy. Strong, angry, dangerous. The story said humans killed first and asked questions later. The child tried to stand again, but its body failed. The hunter's lights flashed in the distance, with no other choice. The tiny alien crawled into the broken human ship. Inside, it was dark and cold. Wires hung from the ceiling. The floor was sharp and dirty. The child hid behind a broken seat and covered its mouth to stop the sound of crying. It waited for pain. It waited for death. Footsteps echoed outside. Heavy boots touched the metal ground. Shadow blocked the light at the door. The child closed its eyes. A human stepped inside. He was tall, wearing worn clothes and a long coat. His face was tired. Dust covered his hair and beard. A weapon rested on his back. His eyes scanned the ship carefully. The human stopped. He saw the tiny alien. The child shook harder. This was it. Humans were worse than the hunters. At least the hunters were honest monsters. The human raised his hand slowly. The child screamed, but no shot came. No strike. Instead, the human slowly removed his weapon and placed it on the floor. He stepped back and knelt down, making himself smaller. His voice was calm and low. "It's okay," he said. "I won't hurt you." The tiny alien did not believe him. No one had ever said those words before. Outside, the hunters shouted. Their voices were closer now. One of them laughed and said the prize was near. The human looked toward the sound. His jaw tightened. He looked back at the child and noticed the blood. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small water container and a cloth. He placed them on the ground and slowly pushed them forward. "Drink," he said softly. The child stared. Its hands shook as it reached out. The water was real, cold, clean, in its body. Slowed for just a moment. The human's wrist device began to glow. A message came through loud and clear. "Human," a hunter said. "Hand over the small creature. It is not worth your life." The human stood up. He stepped in front of the child without thinking. His voice was firm now. "No." There was silence outside. Then laughter. "You will die for this," the hunter said. The human pressed a button on the ship door. Old metal moved and locked with a loud sound. The ship shook as weapons powered up outside. The tiny alien looked up at the human. No one had ever stood in front of it before. No one had ever chosen it. The human glanced down and spoke quietly. "Stay behind me." Outside, the hunters prepared to attack. Inside the broken ship, a human and a tiny alien waited together, and across the galaxy. Sensors picked up the signal. The hunt was no longer just a gain. It had become a choice, and the galaxy was about to see what humans did when they chose kindness. The broken ship shook as energy weapons powered up outside. Dust fell from the ceiling. Old lights flickered, then went dark. The tiny alien pressed itself against the cold floor, its small body tight with fear. The human did not move away. He stood between the child and the door like a wall made of flesh and will. His name was Aaron. He was not a soldier. He was not a hero. He was a scavenger who searched dead worlds for parts to sell. He had learned long ago that the galaxy was cruel, and kindness usually got people killed. But when he looked at the tiny alien, something inside him refused to step aside. Outside, the hunters surrounded the ship. Their leader stepped forward. His armor was sharp and black, marked with symbols of victory. He smiled, knowing fear always won. "Human," the hunter said, his voice loud and calm. "That creature belongs to us. It is weak. It is useless. Give it to us, and you may leave." Aaron did not answer right away. He looked down at the tiny alien. It was trying to be silent, trying to be invisible. Its eyes were wide, full of pain and questions it did not know how to ask. Aaron remembered something then. Not a memory of war or loss, but a simple rule his mother once told him. If someone is smaller than you, she had said, it means you protect them. He took a slow breath. "No," Aaron said again. The hunter's smile faded. "You humans are strange," the hunter replied. "You fight over land. You kill your own kind. Why die for this thing?" Aaron answered without raising his voice. "Because it's a child." The hunters were silent for a moment. Then laughter broke out across the channel. "A child?" the leader said. "It is prey." The ship door trembled as a warning shot hit the metal. The tiny alien cried out softly and covered its head. Aaron turned and knelt again. He pulled a small shield device from his pack. Old, weak, not meant to stop real weapons. "It will have to do," he whispered. He placed the shield in front of the child and activated it. A faint blue light appeared, shaking and unstable. Tiny alien looked up at him. It did not understand his words, but it understood his actions. Slowly, it reached out and touched Aaron's hand with its small fingers. Aaron froze. No one had touched him like that in years. Outside, the hunters prepared to breach the ship. But something unexpected happened. A signal burst from Aaron's ship. Systems, the old human craft, forgotten and broken, sent a wide transmission. It was not a message of war. It was a simple emergency signal, and it was heard far away. Other humans received it. Traders, pilots, drifters, humans who lived on the edge of the galaxy and trusted no one. The signal said only this: child in danger. Hunters present. That was enough. Back at the ship, the hunters grew impatient. "This ends now," the leader said. But before they could fire again, new signals appeared on their screens. Human ships. Not many, not powerful, but close. The hunter leader frowned. Humans were not supposed to come. Humans were not supposed to answer calls like this. Inside the ship, Aaron felt the vibration change. He smiled for the first time. "You're not alone anymore," he told the tiny alien. The child did not know what those words meant, but it felt something new growing inside its chest. Hope. Outside, the hunters hesitated, for the first time in a long while. The hunt did not feel easy. And across the stars, the galaxy began to notice something strange. A human had chosen kindness, and other humans were answering the call. The first human ship arrived like a quiet shadow. No weapons fired, no threats were sent. It simply moved between the hunters and the broken ship, blocking the line of fire. Then another human ship appeared, and another. They were not warships. They were small, worn vessels, cargo haulers. Old fighters, medical ships with faded symbols. Humans who lived far from any empire. Inside the broken ship, Aaron watched the sensors in disbelief. He had not expected this many to come. The tiny alien stared at the screen. It had never seen humans gather without anger or orders. They were not shouting. They were waiting. Outside, the hunters felt something they did not like. Uncertainty. The hunter leader opened a channel. His voice was sharp now, no longer playful. "Humans, this hunt is legal. Step aside." A human voice answered. calm and clear. "There is a child." The leader clenched his claws. "It is not your concern," another human spoke. "It is." Now, the channel went silent. The tiny alien moved closer to Aaron. Its fear was still there, but something else was growing. Curiosity, confusion. Aaron noticed the child watching the humans. He spoke softly. "We look scary, I know." The child made a small sound. It was not a word, but it was not fear either. Outside, the hunters argued among themselves. They had faced human violence before. Humans fought hard, died loudly, and took enemies with them. But this was different. The humans were not attacking. They were standing still. The hunter leader made a choice. "Fire," he ordered. Energy shots crossed the sky. Human ships reacted instantly, not with attack, but with shields. Light spread like walls in space, blocking the shots. One human ship took a hit and drifted, damaged. Instead of retreating, another human ship moved to protect it. The tiny alien's eyes widened. They are protecting each other. It thought. The hunters pressed harder. They fired again. This time, a shot slipped through and hit the ground near the broken ship. The ship shook violently. Inside, Aaron fell to one knee. The child screamed. Aaron pulled the child into his chest and covered it with his body. He did not think about dying. He only thought about one thing. Do not let them touch the child. That moment was captured by human and alien sensors alike. The image of a human shielding a tiny alien spread across the local network, and then across the galaxy. In distant systems, screens lit up. Merchants stopped working. Soldiers paused mid-command. Even members of the Galactic Council turned their heads. They saw the same image, a human, on his knees, protecting a creature smaller than his arm. Confusion filled the council chamber. "Why?" one alien asked. "It offers no gain." Another replied, "Humans do not always act for gain." Back at the battle, something changed. One hunter ship pulled back, then another. Their pilots felt something they could not name. Shame, fear, doubt. The hunter leader roared in anger. "Finish it." But his voice was weaker now. Human ships slowly moved forward. Still no attack, just presence, just refusal to leave. One human captain spoke again. "This ends now, walk away." Silence followed. Then, one by one, hunter ships began to retreat. Not because they were defeated, but because the hunt no longer felt right. Inside the broken ship, the shaking stopped. Aaron slowly stood up. His arms ached. His heart raced. The tiny alien looked at him differently now. It reached up and touched his face with gentle fingers. Aaron smiled softly. "You're safe," he said. Outside, human ships formed a loose circle around the planet. They stayed. They watched. The galaxy had seen many things before, but it had never seen humans fight without hate. And it had never seen them win by refusing to be cruel. The story of the tiny alien and the human was no longer hidden. It was becoming a question the galaxy could not ignore. What kind of species protects the weak, even when no one is watching? The planet was quiet again. The hunters were gone, but the danger had not fully ended. Human ships stayed in the sky, watching and waiting. No one celebrated. Everyone knew this was not over. Inside the broken ship, Aaron sat on the floor beside the tiny alien. The child was exhausted. Its small body shook as the fear finally began to leave. Aaron wrapped a simple blanket around it and checked the wound on its arm. "It will heal," he said softly, even though he was not fully sure. The tiny alien looked at him closely. Its eyes were large and dark. It studied his face, his hands, his breathing. It was trying to understand what kind of creature he was. The child slowly made a sound, not a cry, not fear. A soft tone. Aaron froze. "Is that your name?" he asked. Quietly. The tiny alien nodded. Aaron repeated the sound as best he could. The child reacted with surprise, then something close to happiness. Outside the ship, a human medical vessel landed. 2 humans entered carefully, keeping their weapons away. They knelt the same way Aaron had. The tiny alien did not run. That alone. Shocked as the medics worked, Aaron spoke with the other human pilots through a secure channel. News had already spread. Not just among humans, but across alien networks. A child had survived a hunt because of a human dot in the Galactic Council chamber. The image replayed again and again. Aaron shielding the child with his own body. Some council members were angry. "This is manipulation," one said. "Humans want sympathy," another replied, "or they want to protect a child." Arguments filled the chamber. Humans had always been seen as dangerous, strong, violent. Now the galaxy faced something harder to understand. A human who refused to be cruel. Back on the planet, the tiny alien was moved onto the medical ship. Clean lights replaced the dark metal walls. The child flinched at first, then relaxed when Aaron stayed close. The medic scanned the child and paused. Her face changed. "This child is rare," she said quietly. "How rare?" Aaron asked. The medic hesitated. "Its species is almost gone." Aaron felt his chest tighten. "They were hunted," the medic continued. "For sport, for trade." No one stopped it. The tiny alien heard none of the words, but it felt the weight in the room. It pressed closer to Aaron. Aaron looked down at the child and made a decision that scared him more than the hunters ever had. "They won't take it," he said. "Not anyone." "You know what that means," one pilot replied. "This could start something bigger." Aaron nodded. "Then it starts." The human ships received a new message from the Galactic Council. Surrender the child. In return, humans would be forgiven for interference. Aaron laughed once without humor. "They call that forgiveness?" he asked. Human captains responded together, without planning, without orders. "No." That single word echoed across channels. The tiny alien watched as humans argued, not about profit or power, but about safety, about shelter, about where the child could live. It had never seen adults argue like this. Not about who owned it, but about who would protect it best. The child reached out and touched Aaron's chest again. It felt the steady beat of his heart. For the first time since its world fell, the tiny alien slept. Not hiding, not running, just sleeping. In the darkness of space, the galaxy felt something shift. Humanity had not used force, it had used choice. And that choice was becoming dangerous to those who ruled through fear. Because once kindness was seen, it could not be unseen, and once protected, the tiny alien was no longer prey. It was a reason. The calm did not last. Far from the dead planet, the hunters gathered again. Their ships formed a dark line in space. They were angry, embarrassed, and afraid. The hunt had failed, and the galaxy had watched. The hunter leader stood before his crew. His voice was sharp. "Humans made us look weak," he said. "We take the child back, or we erase them." Some hunters shifted in silence. They remembered the human ships. They remembered the image of a human shielding the tiny alien with his own body. It did not feel like prey, but fear spoke louder than doubt. The fleet moved, back near the planet. Human ships detected the jump signatures. Alarms sounded, but no one panicked. Humans prepared, not with anger, but with focus. Aaron stood in the medical bay beside the tiny alien. The child was awake now, sitting up, holding a small light toy a medic had given it. When the alarms rang, the child stiffened. Aaron noticed at once. "They're coming," he said gently. "But we're ready." The tiny alien did not understand the words, but it understood the tone. It looked into Aaron's eyes and searched for fear. It found none. Outside, human ships spread out. They formed layers, not a wall. A shelter. The hunters arrived in force. More ships than before, stronger weapons. Clear intent, the hunter leader opened a channel to all systems, human and alien alike. Return the child, he demanded, or watch your kind burn. The message was recorded, watched, shared. A human captain replied. No. That was all. The hunters attacked. Space filled with light and sound. Human shields flared. Ship shook. One human vessel was hit hard and lost power. Before it could fall, 2 other human ships moved in front of it. The tiny alien watched the battle through a screen. It saw humans risk themselves again and again. It did not see joy. It did not see hate. It saw care. Aaron stood behind the child, hands on its shoulders. They won't touch you, he said. A hunter ship broke through the line and raced toward the medical vessel. Inside the council chamber, alien leaders shouted. Some demanded action. Others were silent, watching. The hunter ship fired. A human ship took the blast instead. It exploded. Silence followed. For a moment, the tiny alien thought the humans would turn angry, that they would become the monsters the stories described. But they did not. Human ships closed ranks. Their movements became calm and precise. They disabled weapons. They blocked paths. They forced the hunter ships away from civilians. The hunters were losing control. Their leader screamed orders, but fear spread among his fleet. Humans were not fighting to win. They were fighting to protect. That made them impossible to predict. One hunter ship powered down, then another. Pilots refused to fire. This is wrong, one hunter said over an open channel. It was never supposed to be like this. The leader tried to silence them, but it was too late. Human ships pressed forward, not to destroy, but to end the threat. The hunters retreated again. This time, they did not laugh. Inside the medical vessel, the tiny alien felt a strange warmth in its chest. It turned and wrapped its small arms around Aaron's neck. Aaron froze, then held it gently. It's okay, he whispered. Across the galaxy, the council made its choice. A message went out to all systems. The hunt was illegal. Those who hunted children would be hunted themselves. The decision shocked many. It angered some. But it could not be undone. The tiny alien species was given protection. Safe worlds. Human support. And humanity gained something it never asked for. Attention. Not as killers. Not as conquerors. But as guardians. As the battle ended, Aaron looked out at the stars. He knew life would not be easy after this. Humans would be watched, feared in new ways, but when he looked down at the tiny alien, safe in his arms, he knew it was worth it. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Humans were dangerous, not because they loved war, but because they refused to abandon the weak, and that kind of danger changes everything. The battle was over, but the silence that followed felt heavier than the fight itself. Human ships remained in position, damaged but standing. Some burned slowly in space, waiting for rescue. Others drifted, quiet and still. Inside the medical vessel, the tiny alien slept in a soft cradle. Its breathing was slow and steady. For the first time, no alarms echoed nearby. Aaron sat close, watching the child. His hands were tired, his body ached. But his mind would not rest. He knew the galaxy would not forget this. A signal arrived. Not from hunters. Not from humans. From the Galactic Council. All human representatives, the message said. Report immediately. Human captains exchanged looks. Some were angry. Some were worried. None were surprised. A secure meeting space was created in orbit. Light filled the chamber as figures appeared one by one. Tall aliens, armored beings, shapes made of metal and light. And among them, a small group of humans. The council leader spoke first. Its voice was calm, but cold. Humanity has interfered in lawful activities, it said. You have protected a hunted species. You have caused disruption. Aaron stepped forward. He was not a leader. He had no rank. But no one stopped him. "It was a child," he said simply. The chamber went. "One child does not justify war," an alien replied. Aaron nodded. Then maybe the war was wrong. Murmurs spread through the council. Some members looked away. Others watched Aaron closely, as if seeing a human clearly for the first time. Another council member spoke. "Why did you do it? You gained nothing." Aaron answered without delay. "We gained a life." Silence again. The council displayed the recording. The moment Aaron shielded the tiny alien with his body, the explosion. The human ships moving to protect one another. "This image has spread," the leader said. "It is changing opinions." "Good," Aaron replied. That word caused anger in some. Fear in others. A different council member leaned forward. "Do humans understand what they have done? You are no longer ignored. You are watched." Aaron looked around at the human captains. Then back at the council. "We've always been watched," he said. "Now you're just seeing us." The council discussed in private. Time passed slowly. Aaron thought of the tiny alien sleeping, unaware that its future was being decided by strangers. At last, the leader returned. "The child species will be protected," it announced. "The hunts are banned. Those who continue will face punishment." A wave of shock passed through the chamber. "And humanity?" one council member asked. The leader paused. "Humanity will not be labeled enemy." Aaron released a breath he did not know he was holding. But the leader continued. "Humanity will not be trusted." Aaron smiled slightly. "That's fair." The meeting ended. Back on the medical ship, Aaron returned to the tiny alien. The child was awake now, watching the stars through a clear panel. When it saw Aaron, it made the soft sound that was its name. "You did good," Aaron said. Even though the child could not understand the words, the tiny alien reached out and held his finger. Other humans visited. Pilots with burns, medics with tired eyes. They looked at the child with quiet respect. One asked Aaron, "What happens now?" Aaron looked at the stars. "Now we help them rebuild." News spread fast. Across stations and worlds, stories changed. Humans were no longer only seen as fighters. They were seen as something harder to control. Protectors. Some feared that more than weapons. Because weapons could be counted. Kindness could not. In the distance, on worlds that had once hunted the weak. Fear grew. Laws changed. Eyes turned toward humanity, wondering what they would do next. The tiny alien leaned against Aaron and watched the stars. It did not know about councils or laws. It only knew this. When the galaxy chose fear, a human chose it instead. And that choice had reshaped the future. Years passed. The dead planet was no longer dead. Green life spread slowly across the red soil. Small plants grew where metal once ruled. Human ships came and went, bringing tools, seeds, and hope. At the center of the new settlement stood a simple home, not a base, not a fortress. A home. Inside, tiny alien was no longer tiny. It was still small by galactic standards, but it stood on its own feet now. Its eyes were brighter, its movements were sure. Scars remained, but they were no longer signs of weakness. Aaron watched from the doorway as the young alien helped plant seedlings. He was older now. Lines marked his face. But his eyes still held the same calm strength. The galaxy had changed after that day. The hunts ended, not everywhere, not forever, but enough that hope had space to grow. Worlds once ruled by fear learned to hesitate, because humans were watching, not as rulers, as guardians. The Galactic Council still met, still argued, still feared humanity in quiet ways. Humans were not the strongest species, not the smartest, not the oldest, but they were the ones who stepped forward. Stories spread across the stars, not just about war or power, but about a human who knelt before a frightened child and chose protection. Many aliens laughed at first. Then they stopped laughing. Because humans kept doing it, Aaron never became famous. He refused offers of rank or reward. He stayed where he was needed, where the child had once been hunted. The young alien walked up to him and made the soft sound that was its name. Then it placed a small hand on Aaron's arm and pointed to the sky. Ships moved in the distance. Human and alien ships together now, not as enemies, not as masters, as neighbors. See? Aaron said softly, "You're not alone anymore." The alien did not know every word, but it understood the meaning. Elsewhere in the galaxy, a hunt was about to begin. A weak creature, an easy prize. But this time, someone spoke up. Stop, it was not a human voice. That was when the galaxy truly felt the change. The lesson had spread. Kindness was no longer rare, it was dangerous. Back at the settlement, a message arrived. A distant world asked for help. A child. Hunted. Afraid. Aaron looked at the young alien. The alien looked back and nodded. They both knew what to do. Human ships launched. Not for conquest. Not for glory, for protection. The council watched the ships leave. One member spoke quietly. "We feared their weapons," it said. "But we should have feared this." Another replied, "What?" "Their refusal to look away." As the ships jumped into the stars, Aaron felt a familiar calm. He remembered the first time, the broken ship, the red sky, the tiny alien shaking in fear. One choice. That was all it took. The galaxy had believed humans were dangerous because they fought. The truth was worse. Humans were dangerous because they cared, and once they cared, they never stopped. The young alien stood beside Aaron, watching the stars open before them. It was no longer prey. It was no longer alone. And the galaxy was no longer ready for what humanity had become. Not conquerors, not saviors, but something far more powerful. A species that chose kindness, even when no one asked them to, even when it changed everything.